Taught you to think, but they never taught you how to listen. They trained your mind to perform tricks, solve problems, chase goals, survive noise, but they never showed you how to still it. And so now your mind isn't a tool, it's a cage. Constant commentary, judgment, fear, memory, projection, a loop. And yet behind all the noise is something ancient, still, quiet, and watching. That's not your mind, that's you. But you've been so loud for so long you forgot what your own soul sounds like. Meditation isn't about relaxation, it's about returning, dropping below the static of thought into the signal of the source. As your brain shifts from beta to alpha, then into theta and delta, the illusion of separation begins to melt. The mind softens, the body disappears, and something vast begins to breathe through you. That's not visualization, it's a remembrance. You don't reach source, you remove what's between you and it. And it begins with silence so complete. Your ego has no choice but to surrender to the presence beneath it. That's where the real work begins, and that's where we start. Actually, we start with some context. What am I talking about here? I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about worship, angels, chakras, crystals, or channeling dead relatives. I'm not selling enlightenment. I'm burning through the fog that keeps you from seeing what's already there. What I'm talking about is consciousness, not as a buzzword, but as the base layer of reality. The thing that exists before your thoughts, before your body, before your name. The thing observing your life through your eyes. This isn't philosophy, this is function. Consciousness isn't something you earn through good behavior. It's what's left when everything else is stripped away. And every mystical system that's ever existed, from the shamans to the Gnostics to the monks in the Himalayan caves, they all found one thing in common. When you go deep enough into silence, you hit the source code. You stop being a person in a body, and you start becoming a frequency in a field. I know it sounds like spiritual fluff, but this is what your nervous system is wired for. Meditation isn't magic, it's alignment. And alignment doesn't require belief, it requires discipline. So give it a try. So if you're here for comfort, you're in the wrong lecture. But if you're here for reality, let's keep going. They call it the hard problem, consciousness. The one thing science can't bottle, can't weigh, can't define. The question of how awareness arises from matter, how neurons somehow produce a self. But here's the twist. They know. They've known. The intelligence agencies, the black budget programs, the fringe physicists quietly publishing under pseudonyms. They've been studying this for decades and more. Not to liberate you, but to control the interface. Because once you understand that consciousness isn't produced by the brain, but that the brain is just a receiver, a tuner, then the game changes. And this isn't new. Long before the church monopolized spirit, long before the state turned belief into law, the ancients already knew. From Egypt to Vedic India to the shamans of the Americas, there was a shared understanding. The mind isn't the source, it's the filter. And what you experience as you is just one drop in an ocean of awareness that stretches beyond time, identity, or form. That's why control systems, religions, empires, institutions had to rewrite it, because a collective that knows the infinite can't be hurted, a soul that remembers its source, stops obeying. So instead they gave you gods to worship instead of realms to explore, guilt instead of sovereignty, stories instead of signal. But the truth, it's still in your circuitry, still buried in your breath, and when you're still enough, it starts leaking through. So how do you connect to the divine mind? You don't, not the way you've been taught. You don't beg, you don't chant for it to arrive, you don't manifest it with fake positivity and quartz on your windowsill. You remove what's in the way. You subtract until all that's left is the signal. Because the divine mind isn't out there, it's what's left when everything else falls away. And meditation, real meditation, tunes you to this signal. You sit, you breathe, you observe. Sit in the silence. Because eventually the noise thins, the static dies, and the receiver, you, starts to pick up something. The still presence behind all movement. The witness behind all perception. That's the field. It doesn't speak in words, it speaks in knowing. And when you touch it, even for a second, everything changes. You don't become enlightened. You realize you were never disconnected, only distracted. You realize you've been downloading from the infinite the whole time, but your bandwidth was clogged with fear, ego, and the endless distractions of the material world. So you clear it, and there it is, not above you, through you. That's the real initiation. And it's been yours the whole time. Silence is the signal. Sit down and tune in. Humanfluence, out.